Two encounters, both in Scripture, both involving angels. The first, a young woman in a small Galilean town. The angel appears, and though she is troubled, she stands. She listens. She speaks. She asks a question. She receives an answer. The second, the prophet Ezekiel by the Chebar Canal. He looks up and sees fire, a storm cloud, 4 living creatures with 4 faces each, wings touching wings, moving in every direction at once, wheels within wheels, a vault of ice above them, a throne of sapphire, a figure like blazing metal, the likeness of the glory of God. Ezekiel's response? When I saw it, I fell on my face. Ezekiel 1:28. Same God, same heavenly host, radically different encounters. Why? Because not all angels are the same. The scripture that speaks so carefully about everything else does not leave us without a picture of what inhabits the heavenly realm. It does not give us a complete organizational chart. No such chart exists in the Bible. But it gives us something better. It gives us glimpses. And those glimpses are staggering. The word the Bible uses most often for these heavenly beings is the Greek angelos and the Hebrew malach. Both simply mean messenger. These are the angels most familiar to us. They appear in human form. They speak plain words. They deliver news, give guidance, offer protection. They are the ones who rolled the stone away, who strengthened Jesus in Gethsemane, who led Peter out of prison. They are extraordinary. But in the economy of heaven, they appear to be the beings whose work most directly intersects with the world of men. They are not, however, the highest. The archangels. Scripture names only 2 angels by name with any regularity, Michael and Gabriel. Michael is called the archangel, the chief messenger. In Daniel, he is described as the great prince who stands over Israel, a warrior of the heavenly realm who wars against spiritual powers. In Jude, he disputes with Satan over the body of Moses. In Revelation, he leads the heavenly armies against the dragon. Gabriel appears as the one sent specifically to interpret visions and announce pivotal moments in redemption history, to Daniel, to Zechariah, to Mary. His arrivals are not ordinary. Even Daniel, at Gabriel's appearance, is terrified and falls on his face. Some traditions have assigned names to other archangels, Raphael, Uriel, and others. These names come from Second Temple Jewish writings and are not found in the Protestant canon of Scripture. They may reflect genuine tradition, but the Bible itself names only 2, and wisdom means holding the rest loosely. The Cherubim. The cherubim are among the most ancient and significant figures in all of Scripture, and among the most misunderstood. After the fall, God placed the cherubim at the entrance to Eden with a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. They were not decorative. They were guardians of sacred space. God commanded Moses to fashion 2 golden cherubim and place them atop the Ark of the Covenant, facing one another, wings outstretched, flanking the mercy seat. This was where the presence of God would dwell among Israel. The cherubim, again, mark and guard holy ground. But it is Ezekiel who gives us the most complete picture, and it is not what we expect. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side, the face of a lion, and on the left, the face of an ox, and each had the face of an eagle. Ezekiel 10:14. 4 faces, 4 wings, feet like calves' hooves, hands beneath their wings, eyes on their wheels, eyes covering the rims of wheels that moved without turning, that lifted when they lifted, that stopped when they stopped. These are not the soft-winged cherubs of Renaissance painting. They are the living bearers of God's throne, the creatures whose presence marks the intersection of heaven and earth. The Seraphim. They appear in only one passage in all of Scripture, one chapter, 6 verses. But those 6 verses have shaped the worship of the church for 3,000 years. Isaiah, in the year King Uzziah died, sees the Lord, high and lifted up, the train of his robe filling the temple, and around the throne stand the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. Isaiah 6:2. The name seraph comes from a Hebrew root that means to burn, the burning ones. These are beings so saturated with the glory of God that they themselves seem to be made of fire. And yet, even they cannot look directly upon the Lord. They cover their faces. Even the burning ones are overwhelmed. Their sole recorded task is worship. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Isaiah 6:3. The threefold repetition of holy is unique in all of Scripture, a superlative beyond superlatives. It is the only attribute of God given this kind of emphasis. Not love, 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 not power, power, power. Holy, holy, holy. The seraphim do not explain God, they declare him, and the foundations of the thresholds shake at the sound of their voices, and the house is filled with smoke. The Heavenly Council. There is one more category that Scripture points to, less discussed, but woven through the Old Testament in ways that are difficult to ignore. The book of Job opens in the heavenly court. The sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Psalm 82 opens with God standing in the divine assembly. Psalm 89 speaks of the assembly of the holy ones. Deuteronomy 32 speaks of the nations being allotted to the sons of God. These texts have generated centuries of careful theological debate. What are the sons of God? What is the divine council? What does it mean that God presides over an assembly? The safest answer, and the most honest, is that the Bible is showing us that God's governance of creation is mediated through a vast company of heavenly beings whose full nature and organization we are not given to fully understand. The New Testament adds further texture: principalities, powers, thrones, dominions, rulers. Paul uses these terms in Ephesians and Colossians not to explain a hierarchy, but to insist that Christ is above every single one of them. In the 9th century, a theologian known as Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite wrote a treatise called The Celestial Hierarchy. In it, he arranged all the angels of Scripture into 3 triads, 9 orders: seraphim, cherubim, thrones, then dominions, virtues, powers, then principalities, archangels, angels. This hierarchy became enormously influential. Aquinas wrote about it. Dante built his Paradiso around it. It shaped medieval Christian imagination for centuries. But here is what we must say plainly. That hierarchy is not in the Bible. It is a beautiful attempt to organize what Scripture gestures at but does not systematize. And there is a difference between the two. Scripture gives us categories: seraphim, cherubim, archangels, messengers, the heavenly host. It gives us names: Michael and Gabriel. It gives us glimpses of function and proximity to God's throne. But it does not give us an org chart. And the reason may be simple. The point was never to satisfy our curiosity about the structure of heaven. The point was always to show us something about God. Step back for a moment and take in the full picture. Burning beings before the throne, whose very existence is an act of worship. Winged guardians bearing the weight of divine glory across the face of the earth. A warrior archangel contending for nations in the unseen realm. A vast company of heavenly beings administering the governance of creation across space and time. And above all of it, Christ. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. Colossians 1:15-16. Paul is not listing angels to impress us with their number. He is listing them to make a point about the one who precedes and surpasses every category. The hierarchy, whatever its exact shape, does not exist for its own sake. It exists as a witness to the magnitude of God's sovereignty. It tells us that the God we worship does not govern a small kingdom. He governs everything, seen and unseen, named and unnamed, thrones and dominions and burning ones before the throne, and messengers in human form walking the streets of ancient cities. All of it under his hand. And all of it summoned into being by his word. Here is the paradox that the hierarchy of angels keeps pointing us back to. Of all the beings in this vast created order, the seraphim who burn before the throne, the cherubim who bear the glory of God, the archangels who command the armies of heaven, God did not become any of them. He became one of us. The writer of Hebrews makes this explicit. Quoting Psalm 8, he asks, "To which angel did God ever say, 'You are my son, today I have begotten you'? To which angel did he say, 'Sit at my right hand'? For it is not angels that he helps, but he helps the offspring of Abraham." Hebrews 2:16. The burning ones cover their faces. The cherubim guard the threshold. The archangels stand ready at his word. And the Son of God was born in a stable, wrapped in cloth, placed in a feeding trough, while shepherds, terrified by an ordinary angel, ran through the night to find him. The hierarchy of heaven is staggering, but it is not the most staggering thing. The most staggering thing is who God came for. Next episode, we go deeper into the burning ones. What are the seraphim? And what does their existence tell us about holiness?